Said, you know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Everything woke. Everything woke. It's true. Everything woke turns to shit, okay? It's true. It's true. Look at what's happening.
Donald Trump is undeniably one of the most controversial, fascinating figures in United States politics. His larger-than-life persona and unapologetic rhetoric have made him a lightning rod for controversy. In a time when silence can be as risky as speaking up, Trump has chosen to speak out loudly, shaking the very foundations of societal norms.
The women's soccer team, the woman
Yes.
with the purple hair, she wasn't
Yes.
a fan of mine. She said negative things and then she lost.
Yes.
Because woke means you're a loser.
Right.
Everybody ultimately loses with woke.
To some, his unfiltered comments are offensive and out of touch, but to others, Trump is a courageous figure who stands up against what they see as the overreach of political correctness. Trump's responses to these critiques of woke culture were memorable moments. You are invited to witness Trump's most audacious assaults on woke culture, a spectacle that has fascinated audiences and provoked critics in equal measure. Let's get in, starting with a feminist's attempt to label him a misogynist at a conference.
So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can prove me wrong, but I don't think that you're a friend to women.
Before we continue, let me give you context. The incident in question occurred during a conference. A feminist in the audience challenged Trump directly, accusing him of being no friend to women. Her words were designed to provoke, but Trump's response was swift and sharp. Trump, known for his sharp wits, threw an unexpected response to her.
I shouldn't have picked her. I knew I shouldn't have picked her. All right, so let me give you that answer right now. I respect women incredibly. I have had women working for me in positions that they've never worked in terms of construction, in terms of so many different jobs.
Trump didn't just defend himself, he turned the accusations on their head.
I had a woman who was in charge of the building of Trump Tower many years ago, before it was even thought, before anybody would have even thought of it, and did a fantastic job. I have given women more opportunity than I would say virtually anybody in the construction industry.
By citing his record of empowering women in traditionally male-dominated fields, such as construction, he positioned himself as someone who has always respected and supported women.
I have a daughter named Ivanka and a wife named Melania who constantly want me to talk about women's health issues because they know how I feel about it, and they know how I feel about women. I respect women. I love women. I cherish.
He highlighted how women played significant roles in his businesses, even before it was fashionable to do so. But here is the catch. Donald Trump doesn't sing his praise without comparison. He goes ahead to say,
women. You know, Hillary Clinton said he shouldn't cherish. Well, I said, I do cherish. I cherish women.
One would think that the feminist was done, but she was not.
She brought up the contentious issue of the wage gap, challenging Trump further.
I want to get paid the same as a man, and I think you understand that. So if you become president, will a woman make the same as a man, and do I get to choose what I do with my body?
Trust Trump. His retort was blunt. He dismissed the notion of a systemic wage gap, attributing differences in pay to individual performance rather than institutional bias. And just like that, the discussion was steered away from accusations of misogyny towards a broader critique of woke culture's obsession with identity politics. How did he do this? Play this video.
If you do as good a job, you're going to make the same if you do as good a job, and I happen to be pro-life. Okay, I'm pro-life.
But that was just the beginning. Trump's crusade against what he sees as the excesses of woke culture continued to gain momentum. In a self-published video, he took on one of the most controversial cultural debates of our time, gender identity. Trump, with his characteristic bluntness, declared what many think but few dare to say.
As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique.
Trump's take on woke culture is that serious. A year ago, he proposed a bill that would codify this belief into law, ensuring that the U.S. government only recognizes male and female genders assigned at birth.
I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth.
This bill would also aim to protect the integrity of women's sports by prohibiting biological males from competing in female categories.
And we will protect the rights of parents from being forced to allow their minor child to assume a gender which is new and an identity without the parents' consent.
As you may have it for many, Trump sees his stance to represent a return to common sense in a world increasingly dominated by what they see as radical leftist ideologies. Would you see it similarly? Trump also declared his stance on the contentious issue of trans athletes in women's sports. What were his concerns?
And by the way, we should not allow men to play in women's sports. So crazy.
This is an area where Trump's views have resonated deeply with a significant portion of the American public. His remarks on the subject, delivered with his typical flair, left no doubt about where he stands.
You want these political geniuses? I have all these consultants, all these great... Sir, don't say that. It's very controversial. That's not written down anywhere. I just said this might be a good time. So... He said, don't do it. And that gets the biggest hand of everything. Oh, it's crazy.
You could see the reaction from his audience, which was overwhelmingly positive. His stance on this issue has become a rallying cry for those who believe that the current cultural climate is not only unfair to women, but also fundamentally at odds with basic biological realities.
Story of the great swimmer, great female swimmer, wonderful woman, beautiful woman. She's been swimming for many years. She wants to break the world record. And she's at the pool, and she wants to break it by 1/8 of a second. That's like fast.
Trump's critique of woke culture continued beyond broad statements. He has zeroed in on specific instances where he believes these ideologies have gone too far.
And she didn't break the record, but he broke the record that day. You know what the number was? 38 seconds. So she wanted to break it by 1/8 of a second, and he broke it by 38 seconds.
The female swimmer who, despite years of training, was beaten by a biological male who had recently transitioned. Trump's descriptions of such events are always humorous and pointed. He used it to illustrate what he sees as the absurdity of allowing biological males to compete in women's sports. This practice, he argues, is not only unfair, but also disrespectful to women who have worked hard to achieve their goals.
And they say it's politically incorrect. It's so disrespectful to them. So horrible. So unfair. It's so unfair.
That's not all. Woke culture has taken shape, and Mr. Trump is dedicated to fighting it. In another instance, Trump highlighted the case of a female weightlifter who was on the verge of breaking a long-standing record, only to have it shattered by a biological male competitor.
I think it was like 218 pounds. I know, that's a lot. I can't lift it. I don't know who can. Any of our ex-Trump people, they're all Trump people. Kevin's saying he can lift it. I don't know about that, Kevin, but that's a lot.
Trump's ability to blend humor with serious social commentary has always been one of his strengths.
Stood for 11 years. And her mother and father are screaming, "You got it. You got it, darling. I'm so proud of my girl." Well, she couldn't do it.
This was not different in this case. He used it to great effect, painting a vivid picture of what he sees as the dangers of allowing woke ideology to override common sense and fairness. Let's watch further.
This guy comes along. He's named Alice. And he looks at the weight. World record, world record. We could have put another couple of 100 pounds on. I think he would have lifted her.
Trump's rallies are more than just political events. They're a showcase of his unique brand of entertainment. His ability to engage and energize his audience is unmatched, and his blend of humor, politics, and showmanship has become a hallmark of his public appearances. Here, Trump jokingly suggested that he could assemble the greatest women's basketball team of all time by recruiting top male athletes who identify as female.
And I'll tell you what, if I were ever, I'd be the greatest women's basketball coach in history. Because I don't like LeBron James. I like Michael Jordan much better. But I'd go up to LeBron James. It doesn't matter. I'd say, LeBron, did you ever have any desire to be a woman?
The crowd's reaction was telling. Cheers and laughter erupted, underscoring the resonance of Trump's message with those who feel alienated by the current cultural climate. Trump's remarks directly confronted what he perceives as a culture of fear that stifles free speech in America. He pointed out that even basic questions like, what is a woman, have become contentious in today's politically charged environment. For Trump and his supporters, this question symbolizes a broader struggle against political correctness, which they believe are eroding the very fabric of American society. Trump's stance is clear. It's time to push back against what he sees as the absurdities of woke culture and to reclaim common sense in the national conversation.
Horrible culture that is developing. A culture of no common sense. It's really a culture of no common sense, and it's not what anyone wants.
Throughout his political career, Trump has positioned himself as a champion of those who feel silenced by the dominant cultural narratives. His critiques of woke culture are not just about policy. They're about pushing back against what he sees as a growing threat to free speech and traditional values. Trump did not stop there. His stance resonates with a significant portion of the American public, who are tired of this movement's overreach, so his criticism of woke culture is rooted in his belief that it has become a tool for globalist politicians and multinational corporations to push an agenda that is out of touch with the values of everyday Americans.
Our movement must continue to pursue a populist, nationalist, economic agenda that puts working families before globalist politicians and woke multinational corporations who are mentally ill in many cases. They're sick. What are they doing?
In his speeches, Trump has highlighted how these entities, which he describes as mentally ill in many cases, are pushing ideologies that many Americans do not support.
And the people that they cater to are not believing. And you see what's going on in Florida and other places. And the people aren't going to take it. And they're not taking it. They're fighting back, finally.
His pointing to Florida is an example of where people are beginning to fight back against this cultural shift, refusing to accept the changes being forced upon them. According to Trump, this resistance marks the beginning of a broader movement to reclaim American values and priorities.
We must have a social policy that is pro-family, pro-life, pro-God, and 100% pro-America. Has to happen.
Do you think Trump does the right thing here by advocating for a foreign policy that focuses on defending the nation and its people, rather than serving the interests of global elites? He calls for a social policy that is pro-family, pro-life, pro-God, and unequivocally pro-America. So?
And reforms in American history, and I'm all for reducing taxes further. Not the other way. They want to raise taxes. This is the first time they want to raise taxes and they're supposed to get elected. All of these things they want to do. How do you get elected?
You cannot deny that his leadership during those 4 years brought about significant changes, including the largest tax cuts and reforms in American history. Trump believes that continuing to reduce taxes rather than increasing them, as some suggest, is key to maintaining the nation's prosperity. With all being said, Trump's unyielding stance on these issues continues to resonate with millions of Americans, proving that whether they love him or hate him, he's not afraid to tackle the most contentious topics head-on. Will his bold stance lead to a shift in how we address free speech and traditional values in America? As we look ahead, one thing is clear. The conversation around these contentious issues is far from over. Trump's message is strong. America must stand firm against the woke agenda that seeks to undermine its core values. Trump's outspoken views have encouraged others to speak out, which could pave the way for more open and balanced national debates. But real change will require more than just one leader's voice. It will need more people to welcome diverse viewpoints that challenge the norm. So, Will Trump's unwavering stance on woke culture leave a lasting impact on American society? It's difficult to predict with certainty. But one thing is for sure. He has sparked an essential conversation about what free speech and traditional values truly mean in today's world. Whether this will drive lasting change remains to be seen, but Trump's courage to tackle these issues head-on is undeniably a step in the right direction. What do you think? Is Trump a champion for free speech, or do you see his views differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more updates on America's most pressing cultural debates.